Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. Hope you're doing well. This is me, Preacher Moss, the host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Today we'll be discussing the recent laws of Vernon Jordan, a civil rights attorney, power broker in Washington, D.C., really one of our last remaining power brokers and leaders, and more importantly, strategics who actually really spanned a period of time. You may know him as an advisor to Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, an advisor to Bill Clinton. But I think it's important to kind of take a look at Vernon Jordan and really begin to understand and unravel just how important he was. So if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and cue this up and get this thing started for us. Peace and blessings go out to the Jordan family. I know it's a difficult time. Even though he was 85 and had a very long life, born in 1935, it still doesn't move us from the point that we have lost an intellectual and a cultural giant. So let me introduce you briefly to Vernon Jordan, and then we'll get our show started.
Our guest today on Meet the Press is Vernon E. Jordan, Jr., President of the National Urban League. Mr. Jordan has been active in civil rights work, including the NAACP and the Voters Education Project, for 21 years. He survived an assassin's bullet in Fort Wayne, Indiana, last year. He has announced his resignation from the Urban League, effective the end of this month, to go into private law practice. It's obvious today that the civil rights movement is meeting some kind of resistance, or in some way perhaps has ended. Is it the same as it used to be? Is the momentum gone? Has the civil rights movement ended?
Well, I think that too many people want to measure the civil rights movement by the drama of the 1960s. What has happened is that drama has changed, and that drama brought about many, many significant changes. The Civil Rights Act of 64.
I see Vernon Jordan a little differently than traditional civil rights leaders. He understood that you can work to help people on the ground, but that work is always going to be operating under an umbrella of public policy. You can't help people without changing the public policies that create the circumstances in which they live.
We have no full employment policy. We have no welfare reform policy. To paraphrase Winston Churchill, never have so many expected so much and received so little.
When I met Hillary in 1971, first thing she did was tell me about Vernon Jordan. I had to listen to how handsome and brilliant and good he was. You know, it was revolting. He wanted to make his contribution, be part of the movement, but have a unique life. He advisor to presidents, not just me.
Vernon Jordan was the first person to realize that a devastatingly effective form of black power would be top-down integration at the heart of American capitalism, Wall Street. Vernon Jordan has done more to integrate the corridors of financial power than any African American in history. Vernon Jordan is the Rosa Parks of Wall Street.
right. All right, everybody. I hope you got that nice little taste of Vernon Jordan. Sorry about that. I meant to move back a little bit from the camera here. I want to give everybody a little flavor. You know, when we come to civil rights, when we talk about equity partnerships, particularly finance, partnerships with policymakers and things like that. You know, Vernon Jordan was a guy that I looked at. You know, he was a leader for other people like Reginald Lewis, who owned Beatrice and did the whole idea of leverage buyout, LBOs, and things like that on Wall Street. You know, but his thing was he took the idea of equity and fairness and he found a formula, for lack of a better word. He found a formula that fit into the idea that everybody deserved access. And to his credit, he really made sure that people went and sought he really went out and made sure that people sought, for lack of a better word, that access. And when you think about him, you know, at 85 years old, being born in 1935, he vividly points out that he was born in the first legitimate housing project in America, in Atlanta. He's in elementary school. He says that his place was right beside Spelman, Morris Brown, Morehouse, and he was living in abject poverty. But he also tells this incredible tale, and if you really get a chance, check out his memoir, Vernon Can Read. I remember I read it years ago, but it's just it's a weirdly heartening understanding of what it takes to make it. Like understanding all the obstacles. And I did tell you that he was born in 1935, which means that if you put 20 years on it, 1955, he was still dealing with Jim Crow, segregation. You put 30 years on it, he's finally getting up to the Voting Rights Act. So understand that this guy is he's a phenomenon in so many different ways that I don't want us to overlook what that genius is. Because we've lost some people. Sister Satana reminded me earlier that we're losing leaders. We're losing Cicely Tyson. We're losing, we're losing Cicely Tyson. We're losing this brother right here. I'm drawing a blank. I shouldn't even draw a blank because I'm just thinking about him. But Congressman John Satana, can you help me out? I'm forgetting. I'm drawing a blank. It happens, brother. You get old every once in a while. You forget. John Lewis, Congressman John Lewis, and we forget about all these people. And what happens is there is, in some regards, a leadership void. Like our leaders who've come after these people, while they may be flamboyant, while they may be attractive, entertaining, in some regards, when you peel back the banana, where's the work? Vernon Jordan was one of the people who, and this is me being from Washington, D.C., you know, when you talked about power, black political power, all these type of things, you were talking about Vernon Jordan. You were talking about a man that could get things done. That's right, we lost Elijah Cummings, John Lewis, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. These are benchmarks for power. Thank you, Satana. I appreciate the assist. And the thing that I'm getting to is that, you know, we've lost that. So let me, first of all, I want to introduce everybody. If you're coming on the show for the first time, you're blessed. You're lucky. It's not that I'm the host, Preacher Moss. No. You're lucky that this is a shout-out show, and this is a platform for people to express themselves, to talk about real life, real issues. And I'm a comedian. Yeah, we laugh and all those type of things, but there's been a succession of things that's really made me, like a lot of people, very introspective about what does power look like, and what does it mean for myself, my community, my family. And sometimes when you get in that space, you're not as funny as you. And sometimes you pull back those sheets, man, and it's horrific. And you begin to understand, and you miss people like a Vernon Jordan. You miss people like a John Lewis. You miss people like Elijah Cummings. I mean, I remember I met Elijah Cummings when we were shooting the Allah Made Me Funny movie in Washington, D.C. at a place called HR 57. I think it was on 14th Street. And I looked over. Imagine doing jokes and you see Elijah Cummings. And he's telling me, you know, young man, dude, this is Allah Made Me Funny. And I hate to blow him up, but hey, Keith Ellison, Elijah Cummings came to support the Muslim comedians. You didn't. but I'll let it go. But he came and we had this talk afterwards, and I expressed to him, number one was thanks. And number two is, I appreciate you coming to the show. I said, but number three is the fact that I admire the fact that you understand what a fight is. And instead of going into the fight by yourself, which you're more than willing to do, you educate people on what the fight is. And then after you educate them, sometimes you go into the fight by yourself anyway. And I'm like, to me, Elijah comes and says, you're a man politician. And for the rest of this show, I'm going to talk about men politicians. And woman politicians. Let me throw that out there, because one of the strongest was Sister Shirley Chisholm. Make no mistake about it. Okay, so let me introduce. If you come on the show the first time, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. We're at 149, trying to get to 150 before my birthday. As well, jump in the comment section. Don't be shy. Nobody digs shy. We're talking about information. I'm talking about the Vernon Jordan here. And I'm going to tell you what shy gets you. I'm going to tell you what weak gets you in a little bit. But for right now, let me proceed. Let me show you the stars in the building. These are the strong people. And you newcomer to the ShOUT show, can be one of the strong people, one of the stars in the building. Let's go. Got Sister Reed, Craft Services. How you doing, Sister Reed? I'm almost through with that pan. I'll be bringing it back to you. Give it to tomorrow. It'll all be gone. My partner in crime, this is Sister Satana Whitfield, making sure when brother can't remember dignitaries and important people that she'll put it on the screen so I don't look foolish. Thank you, sister. And then as well, hold on a minute. What is Reed here? I can't talk about that on the show, Reed. Don't be texting me about food options on the show now. But I'm gonna tell you, so that fried chicken soul salad, I ain't never had it, but see me after the show. Okay. Let me throw out here our research, our unofficial research director, Sister Rabina Akram Chaudhry, all the way from the UK, staying up late to join us, sister. As always, a pleasure to see you. Sister Aika, all the way from Indonesia, thank you so much for joining us. I hope all is well with you. And this is my mom talking about ain't no sound. Now, my mom says there's no sound, brothers and sisters. My mom ain't no liar. But there's a good chance she's left that mute button on. Okay, let's keep this moving. And this is my other partner in crime, my brother from the beginning. What's going on, JT? Thank you so much for coming for the show, brother. I appreciate it. I think that you may really enjoy this. I meant to ask. I don't know if I don't know. For some reason, I thought that Vernon Jordan was an AKA. Vanished the thought. I don't know, but I'm just going to say, hey, man, thank you for coming on the show and making it what it's about to be. And we have our sponsor, Miss Maxine K, of course. If you brothers don't know about Miss Maxine K, it's very simple. It's very simple. I can acclimate you to what the deal is. The deal is she's our sponsor with, you guessed it, BeFinancialIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinancialIndependent.com. If you don't have a computer, if you don't know how to work your computer, that's you, Mom. Or better yet, brothers and sisters, just on that time you want to hear a human voice, call 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. All right. So I want to move forward with this thing because I think it's really important, and I don't want to lose. Pace with this right here. Vernon Jordan is important for a lot of folks, particularly young folks. And the reason why I say he's very expressive and he's very, what's the word? He has a particular creative nuance for young folks. We watched everything that went left, right, up, down for the last couple of years that had to do with protests, social advocacy, and things like that. What we saw, brothers and sisters, was, in some regard, it was a rebuke of what worked in terms of civil rights. Vernon Jordan is one of the last bastions of civil rights that worked on the economic level. And from the economic level, he was able to affect change. He put diverse faces, in places where it had never been. Places of finance, places of policy, places of education. And in that, he grew people who went on to affect policy. And when I say affect policy, it means that you have to have somebody in the room. Or as they say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. That's the way is, or that's the way it's been for so many years. And sadly, we're kind of turning back to it. I don't know why. I don't want to say we're regressing, but we don't remember people like Vernon Jordan. We celebrate them when it's too late. We celebrate them when they're gone. And in that space of celebrating when they're gone, and this is why I'm saying you need to read his memoir. And that clip I showed you, Vernon Jordan, Make It Plain, I want you to understand that came out in December. He just passed away, so it's a very timely thing, but check it out. It's on PBS. Check it out. Vernon John's Make It Plain. So what am I saying about this guy? I'm saying but that Mr. Jordan, while he did all these things, amazing things with these presidents and stuff like that, he started out grassroots. His work with the Urban Coalition, his work with voter registration. I mean, he becomes a lawyer after he leaves DePaul. He goes to Howard University Law School. He goes back to Georgia. What do? He goes back to Georgia where he was not allowed to go, to the University of Georgia, and they get it desegregated. He's a thinker. He's a thinker. One of my problems with a lot of leadership that we see, Black Lives Matter, is that they're not strategists. They're very emotional showcases, but they're not strategists. Can you see something 10, 15 years down the road? We've run out of those type of people, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the people who could see something 10, 15 years down the road, in some regards they were assassinated. In some regards they were political prisoners. In some regards they were lost to the game, however you want to state that. They were lost to the game. We literally have something on HBO Max. It would have been in the theaters. It would have been huge. The gentleman just won an award for it. Judas and the Black Messiah. You know, he comes out of that space, but he comes out a little bit before that space. And what you find, okay, JT, thank you. JT's correcting me. He's a cute dog. I'm sorry, Jay. I wasn't trying to throw it out there. I knew he's a frat. I just didn't know. So apologies. But my point is, he becomes a point person that's in the ear of some of the most powerful presidents in the world. You saw him with Lyndon Johnson. You saw him with Bill Clinton. You saw him with Jimmy Carter. You saw him with Barack Obama. These are not mistakes. This is not happenstance. These are not photo ops, brothers and sisters. This is a man who is an incredibly advanced, meticulous thinker. And what we have now is leadership that doesn't think. And so his place, some regards, and how things play out, some regards, is that people that don't think do what? They surround themselves with people who don't think, or afraid to think, or afraid to tell you how they think. He was fiercely independent. I'm going to show you something that it really tugs at your heartstrings about Vernon Jordan, because I always thought that Vernon Jordan, if I saw him in the street, I'd be afraid to say hello. He was approachable by all stretches of imagination, but he was a thinker. When you see Vernon Jordan, you understand that this is a man who strategized from the time he left Atlanta to DePaul University, to Howard University, to all his legal practices, to being on Wall Street. Now, but the thing is, he doesn't forget that humility of how he got there. The willingness of his parents to help. He tells this beautiful story about when he was in elementary school. His mother ran the PTA. And then he said when he was in high school, his mother ran the PTA. Now it's funny, but he asked her, why do you do that? He said, well, I figured, number one, if I'm on the PTA, I have a chance to help you, but also have a chance to help the other kids. Brothers and sisters, you know, this is a story that it's almost like Hidden Figures. There needs to be a Vernon Jordan story. And understand, it didn't come to him easy. 1980, he was a victim of a sniper, almost got killed. The sniper got off, but later admitted that he did actually indeed shoot Vernon Jordan. But what I'm about to get to, and I'm going to show this clip and I'm going to come back. He's provided a blueprint. He's given us breadcrumbs, if you will, of how we can get back to our own advocacy, real, meaningful advocacy. You see, the thing with Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, it really didn't have a connection to finance. It didn't have a connection to economics. Let's defund the police. You've heard me talk about that. And I said, let's rewrite the Constitution, which is we're going to breed, if you will. I'm giving you almost an idea from Vernon Jordan that you have to have constituency of people who know the law that can speak to this particular type of law. Oh, okay, my brother here. What's going on, Altaf? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother. Thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate you. We are talking about Vernon Jordan. You might have missed it, but this clip right here will sum this up. And I want everybody to please watch this clip. Watch it. I'm going to bring it up. Let me switch my microphone. I'm going to bring it up, and I'm just going to ask everybody, just look at the nuance of what I'm about to show you.
Take it with you, this
and
world.
For some reason, I was not afraid. Right? Now, mind you, that the Sunday night that my parents were leaving me at Greencastle, they took me to Mahara Hall, left the station wagon on Locust Street, and walked me to the entrance of Mahara Hall. My brother shook my hand, rushed off to the car, happy that for the first time in his life, he would have the bed and the bedroom to himself. Right? My mother, tears in her eyes, hugged me, slipped $50 in my pocket, and said, "God bless you, son." My father shook my hand, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "You can't come home." And I said, "What did you say?" He said, "You can't come home." And I said, "What do you mean I can't come home?" He said, "The counselors said that your reading scores as compared to these kids who went to prep school and township high schools, and you went to an old, dilapidated, segregated, overcrowded, double-sessioned colored high school." He said, "Their reading scores are much better than yours, but so that when they're in chapter 6 of History of Civilization, you'll be struggling to get out of the preface." He said, "But you can't come home." He said, "In 1951, you used a plain geometry book that had been used by a white student in 1935, but you can't come home." He said, "You're the only black in this class, but you can't come home." And so I said, "What am I to do, Daddy?" He said, "Read, boy, read." Turned around and walked away.
Wow.
4 years later, I graduate. My brother slowly walks up to say congratulations, thinking that I'm coming back home. Share the bed.
A little worried.
My mother hugs me, tears in her eyes. This time she gives me $100. My father, with the same straight, serious face of 4 years ago, shook my hand. And he said, "You can come home now."
Wow. Just wow. I mean, I'm humbled. Even, and Sultana has this, she's saying, even if you do come home, you can't come home. You've evolved. I don't know where this clip has been. I mean, I've been watching stuff all day. But I'm going to tell you something, man. That was a special dude. raised by special people. And I worry sometimes that we're not producing those special moments, that gravitas that we could tell our family members, we could tell our children, we could tell our neighbors that, until the job is done, which is what the Father's saying. Until the job is done, you can't come home. He's saying it doesn't matter if they read more than you. My expectations are you won't come back until you finish the task. And he's talking about not quitting. He's the only black person at DePaul University. He forgot to mention that, but he was the only black person at DePaul University. And it was the decision of Vernon Jordan over Morehouse, over Howard University, to go to DePaul University, where he knew he was going to be uncomfortable. He knew he was going to be challenged. He knew that there was going to be an issue in terms of educational merit, educational access, but he sticks in there. And his father, who he said used to deliver mail, he said his father is the one that told him, you can't come home. And I realized the thing that really chokes me up, because his father could never leave home. Those opportunities weren't there for his father. And he's determined to make sure his son, whatever trial by fires he has to go through, he's not going to come home the same person. So I agree with you, Sister Tana. Miss Kate, I agree with you too, because, and let me tell y'all a little bit about my mom and my dad. Well, my mom and my aunt. My mom, my dad, my aunt, they all went to college. But my mom and my aunt went to Howard University. They left Danville, Virginia, which, lovely people, lousy opportunities. I sometimes I say Danville is the place where dreams go to die. But they left, young ladies, unsure, and they came to Howard University. And what they did was, out of nothing, they found value, and in that value, they found education. In that value of education, they believed, or I want to say they had self-fulfilling prophecies that they were important. And it was just a matter of getting more and more and more information and opportunities to become more and more important. My Aunt Maxine was an EEOC lawyer. My mom has her law degree from Catholic University. What am I saying? I'm saying that there's something special in that space with Mr. Jordan. There's something special in that time with Mr. Jordan. And I'm also saying that we, as the younger folks, as a younger generation, I look around and I don't see a lot of Vernon Jordans. I see a lot of people that think they're self-made, but they're not Vernon Jordan. I see a lot of people that talk slick, but they're not Vernon Jordan. I see a lot of people that rap and yell and scream and give you rage, but they're not Vernon Jordan. I see people who yell Black Lives Matter, but guess what? They're not Vernon Jordan. I hope today, for all of us, doesn't matter if black, white, Muslim, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about the will, if you will. The will of a man. The will of an individual that says, I'm going to make this thing a public victory so everybody can see it. Even a little knucklehead from Washington, D.C. called Preacher Moss. Now, I have something I do want to speak to, and it's very important. It has to do with leadership. Last Saturday, there was an event called Honoring the Legacy of Black Muslims. It was held by Engage, and it was to, if you will, honor the legacy of Black Muslims, the achievements, Black excellence. You can get the picture. A group, I don't know exactly who they are, or where they are, but it's a group called Drop Engage, who had an issue with the group Engage. But this was a Black History event during Black History Month. And it spilled over to, I want my concerns to be taken so far that I am willing to disrupt and manipulate and interrupt Black History Month. This is not black people doing it. This is people usurping the black need for identity, awareness, truth, and celebration so they can selfishly have their way. Let me tell you something. when you call people on the program and tell them to pull out of a Black History Month, and you're not black, and you're not offering them a platform, you, my brothers, are not a friend of black people. You're not even a friend of yourselves. I am offended. I am upset that you felt the need and the casualness to upset a black event, talking about black leadership, speaking on people that helped build this country, because you could not have your way. Let me tell you something. You're here on the blessings of black people, Native Americans, Latinos, and black Muslims and black Christians, the black church. You have no idea who you're dealing with, what the emotions are. You're no Vernon Jordan. We don't know who you are. You hide behind websites and algorithms and clicks and all that stuff like that. And you felt the need to call people on the platform who were going to be on this particular show and pick up the phone and threaten them about, oh, well, you know, if you do this, the Palestinians will be mad at you. Be mad. And for the person that pulled out, let me tell you something, brother. I'm going to say your name. Lamont Hill. You want to know my name? Preacher Moss. You know where to find me. So they told you to pull out, brother? Let me tell you something. If you can't stand the heat, stay out the sun. Because you're no friend of us, brother. You're no friend of us. Stop coming around us, brother. I don't like that type of thing. Because I don't trust you. That you're that easily compromised means that you running over here telling business, family business. And let's be real clear, too. I don't agree with this. Certain people, emails, texts. What are the names, man? Who told you not to show up? Give me the names. Give me the phone numbers. Give me the emails. Give me the texts. You don't get off that easy. You don't get off that easy. It's Black History Month. It ended on Sunday. And it ended on a foul note. Because somewhere, somehow, people feel like they can compromise black identity, black history, black leadership, and do whatever the hell they want to do. My brother JT is on here. JT and I went to the Million Man March back in 1996, and it was the same thing. People didn't want Minister Louis Farrakhan to speak at an event that he had organized, and they didn't show up, thinking somehow it was going to take away, not from the gravitas of Louis Farrakhan, but from the gravitas of over a million black men coming for atonement. So drop him, Gage. You're being dropped. You owe black folk an apology. I'm not a hard-hearted person, but you made a mistake. A very public mistake. And the mistake you made was that you could do what you did and you thought nobody would say anything. You thought it would be okay. You thought these good old Negroes just going to roll on over. Come on over here, Gage. What you think we're going to do next? Huh? You know what's funny, brothers and sisters? The people who do these things wonder why later on folks don't support them. Because you come to us raggedy. Would you do this with a white event? Would you do it with a white event? No. Would you do it with a GOP event? No. Have you ever called up the GOP and said, hey, this speaker is Islamophobe, and call that speaker and say, don't do it? Because, of course you didn't. Because you felt comfortable coming around black people. Because you're telling us how you feel about us. You felt like you had space, license. Oh, yes, Sister Satana, and privilege. I'm here to tell you you don't. And book it. You don't have a fan on the ShOUT show. But that's not your problem. You ain't got a fan out in the street. If you're really real, man up. Whoever called Lamont Hill, man up. Whoever called Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, man up. Man up. Now, whatever it is, problems you have with Gage, blah, blah, that's y'all, brothers and sisters. That's a messy marriage. But guess this messy marriage does not mean that you get to put it on the children, the black children. And I say children, not because they're your kids, We're children of the struggle. We've been dealing with this all our lives. That's it. I don't want to hear nothing else. You ain't got nothing you could tell me, okay, outside of an apology. You figure out who to apologize to. And if you got some heart, drop Engage. Come on the shout out show. Come on the shout out show. Come on out of the shadows, brothers. Come on the show. Look me in the eye. I'll come to you. I'll bring a camera crew. Because ain't no punks over here. Ain't no punks in the black Muslim community. Ain't no punks in the black community. We'll come see you. I gotta go. Y'all done got me upset now. Everybody, thank you so much. God bless. And I hope to see you soon. I had to get that off my chest because, you know, when you grow up and you have the privilege and the honor of seeing a Vernon Jordan, if you will, and see how people are just trying to treat other people, particularly African Americans, it's upsetting. It's disconcerting. And it's doggone disrespectful. You guys have a wonderful day. If I said anything that was out of pocket, that's on me. But if I said anything that's true, that's on Allah. So I will see you guys later. God bless. Inshallah, I'll see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hey everybody, this is your brother Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Attar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out tarifattar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.